Well, hey everyone. It's good to see you again. Thank you all for the kind comments. I was reminded by my friend Kevin that I am way overdue for reviewing a mutual favorite artist of ours and a favorite artist of several of my friends, the legendary Alice Cooper. I've decided to split it up. I'm going to start with just the first 7 albums by the original Alice Cooper band, because there really was a differentiation between the AC band and Alice's solo career, which began in 1975. And so, most of the hits, I would wager that people know, are from the first, well, not even 7. The albums 1 and 2 weren't as well known. From albums 3 through 7 is really where the songs come from. You see, I have my coffee mug here. It's almost 8 o'clock at night as I'm doing this, but it's been kind of a long Monday, a good day, a very good day. Work went well. Got to have a delicious dinner with my family. The kids and I went and got some frozen yogurt for ice cream, and I think even after taking the little pug for a walk, I think it's sitting a little heavy and I need a little pick-me-up. So anyway, let's get down to it. So the first Alice Cooper review, we're going to start with going from least favorite to favorite. And number 7 is Pretties For You. It was the first album from, I believe, 1968. They had been signed to Frank Zappa's Bizarre Records. Frank saw something in them. He wasn't even sure what. He said, "I don't understand it, but we're going to make you stars." These guys were putting on great live shows, but in the studio, and this has a lot to do with Zappa, they the songs there are just so incomplete. They sound like snippets, demos. It doesn't even really sound like a well put together demo. So it's hard to categorize that one. There were sparks of what was to come, but not a whole lot of insinuation as to what they would be capable of. So again, Pretties For You, number 7. Boy, even as a hardcore fan, and I have all of Alice's stuff. I have had since even before the completest bug bit me. I've just always been a fan of Alice's his music, whether with the band or as a solo artist, has always just struck an chord with me. So anyway, album number 6. Well, no, number 6. This was actually album number 7. It was the last one. Came in an inconspicuous brown box to sort of mock, receiving adult dirty materials through the mail. So, Muscle of Love, and on the back you can see, it's kind of funny. I have the album in the sleeve taken out. It's an original sleeve, so inside live nude wrestling, and they all look like they're going to have fun. And then, not sure how well you can see it, but they got beat up literally by a gorilla and thrown out. A lot of humor here. But Teenage Lament 74 is on here. Desperate, no, sorry, not, that comes much later. Muscle of Love, the title track. Man with the Golden Gun, that was originally written and submitted to be a James Bond theme. It was unfortunately rejected. So, this album comes 1974. The band has been on the road and touring nonstop. They're completely burned out. A number of my friends would rate this a little higher, and I don't know where it would sit necessarily with the entire discography, but just from the original 7 albums, this one sits at number 6. There are some good moments there, and to me, on every album that comes after this, there are really good moments. Number 5, this one might be a little controversial. only because it's so beloved and popular. And that School's Out, and you're thinking, boy, that title track's iconic. Yeah, it is. If I never heard it again, I'd be okay just because it's played to death. But yet, when I do hear it, when I see him in concert, um, when it's the end of the school year, I still feel giddy. So the Gutter Cats versus the Jets is on this one. That was based on West Side Story, and they actually give Leonard Bernstein a writing credit on that. There are a few other numbers. This one came. It was meant to look like a school desk being opened. I had heard there were other items in here, but this is all I got. But it's still cool to have an OG copy. All of these actually are OG copies that I've got, except for Pretties For You on CD. So let's see, 765. Number 4 was Alice Cooper album number 2. Still on Frank Zappa's record label, but the sonic leap they took forward in songwriting, in sound, in production. Mr. and Misdemeanor opens at Shoe Salesman, Still No Air, Below Your Means, Return of the Spiders, Laughing at Me, Refrigerator Heaven, Lay Down and Die Goodbye. Was really the first magnum opus, and it signaled several that would come later, and Beautiful Flyaway. Yeah, so this is a really solid album. I think it's, and maybe that's why, even though it doesn't have any hits or anything that Alice plays in concert to this day, I think that's why I like it so much. And I bought this in the sticker says 1997, so it was probably around then. Sorry, it was not Bizarre Records, it was Straight Records. I apologize, Frank had Bizarre Records as well. And it was $7.99, and I remember my mom said, you're going to pay $8 for a record? Well, this is the 90s when everybody thought vinyl was dead. There were a few underground people keeping it alive, but mainstream vinyl was really, it was gone. And I said, yeah, I'm going to. I really think I need this. I didn't know why. I had never heard anything from it, and I went home and I played it because my parents were, one, they're the best parents anybody could ask for, but two, they let me have a turntable and some giant speakers in my bedroom, and my bedroom was right next to theirs, so God love them for it. They put up with so much loud music. And this was one that they heard, and so I'm very, very thankful that I've got this. So yeah, number 4, yeah, I keep losing track, this is terrible. Number 4, Easy Action. Really like that record. Alright, top 3. Coming as no surprise, probably, to anybody. These top 3, most people rank these as their top 3 Alice albums overall, or at least by the original Alice Cooper band. Pardon me, feeling a little parched and a little tired, so cheers, a raise of the mug to you. Number 3, I was not a huge fan of this for a long time, and I'm a firm believer that part of our how we feel about music is how we hear it the first time. And I heard this on an original CD from the late 80s, early 90s, whatever it was. And, the transfers from analog to digital then really weren't that good. We lost a lot. And so when I first heard this, and I had a couple songs I liked, but I didn't get the genius. It didn't click in my head. And maybe I was a little too young to get some of it, honestly. I picked this up this year. I finally found, and I paid a little more than I wanted, but I finally found Love It to Death by Alice Cooper. This is a second pressing. It's OG from the early 70s, but it's a second pressing. You can tell because Alice had made a playful little gesture on the original that was covered up in subsequent pressings. Here's the back. Guys were looking debonair for rock stars. Bob Ezrin had found these guys. He saw them. He saw the potential in them, but they were unfocused. And he really focused them. Bob, would end up going on to produce so many Alice albums, as well as Destroyer by Kiss, The Wall by Pink Floyd. Bob Ezrin really is the man when it comes to the classic rock albums that we know and love. Anyway, Caught in a Dream, I'm 18, Hallowed Be Thy Name, Long Way to Go, The Spooky Black Juju, Isn't My Body, Second Coming, Maniacal Ballad of Dwight Fry, and Sunrise. So, great album. My number 3. A lot of people put it higher, and I couldn't argue. Any of these that anybody else puts number 1, I really couldn't argue with. Or, heck, if you put Easy Action as number 1, it's your choice. That's the great thing. Alice, even with just 7 albums, if there were only 7, there's such a wealth of material to draw from. So, number 2, picking number 2 and number 1 are painful for me because they could flip-flop at any given day, so I picked this one. I literally just grabbed one of them at random, and this is what we're going to get. Number 2, Killer. I love this album. These next 2 albums, if there were any weaknesses on the other ones, in my opinion, there are none here. You see the back, very, very haunting, and the blue and green light. Starts out with the garage rock classic, Under My Wheels, Be My Lover, another magnum opus that they really focused on and showed the musicianship. All 4 or all 5 of them wrote it. Alice Cooper, Neil Smith, Dennis Dunaway, Michael Bruce, Glenn Buxton. Halo of Flies. Alice still performs that in her shows to this day sometimes, and I had the chance to see it a few years, well, probably about 8-9 years ago. And his band now still pulls this off. And then Desperado, which I mistakenly mentioned earlier. You Drive Me Nervous, Yeah, 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 Dead Babies, and Killer. Dead Babies, still gets him in trouble sometimes where he performs. It's a satirical piece. It's actually a very serious piece. But because it's Alice, people think that he wants to do terrible things, and he doesn't. So anyway, even though he is admittedly, the number 1 villain in rock and roll. So number 2, love this album. If you're going to start anywhere with Alice, this is easily one of the best places to go. Used to play this all the time when I had it on cassette tape with my friends. We played on Boy Scout campouts. The adult leaders in the Boy Scouts, I think they put up with me not because I was so well behaved, because I wasn't, but because I loved the same music they did. So I would be playing Alice and all kinds of other great stuff. Anyway, special memories to me. Love this album. Number 2, Killer, which means number 1 can only be the 1973 classic $1 Billion Babies. Meant to look like a giant billfold. My copy, I wish I hadn't tacked it up, but might still be worth a little bit of money, but it had tax in it. I have the $1 billion bill still, and boy, I'm glad that I didn't treat it any worse than I did than just tacking it on my wall. So, $1 Billion Babies. You want to talk everything great about a rock and roll album. This is where they brought out the guillotine. This is where the showmanship was cemented on this tour. The titles aren't actually listed here, and so if you'll forgive me when I reach around to the CDs for a moment, if I can maybe find it. Where the heck is it? Yeah. No, not that one. Oh, now I feel silly having to do this. Alright, yeah, I've had the CD copy for years too. Alright, Hello Hooray, Raped and Freezing, Elected, $1 Billion Babies, Unfinished Suite, No More Mr. Nice Guy, Generation, Landslide, Sick Things, Mary Ann, and I Love the Dead. So I've had it on CD for years too. Here's another one that I paid $5 for at a garage sale, and it was not in the best shape then. I kicked myself. I didn't treat my records very well when I was younger, so it's not in the best shape now. And if I could find a decent copy at a decent price, I would snag it up again. Really, if Killer's a place to start, this is really a place to start. Everything great about Alice Cooper, the band, the solo artist, the songwriter, everything is in this album. So, and then real quickly, uh, uh, the only official live document for the original Alice Cooper band, there was a film that came out, a concert film with some really, really cheesy sequences that made no sense called Good to See You Again, Alice Cooper. It was filmed in Dallas and Houston over the course of April 28th and 29th, 1973. Billion Dollar Babies live in Houston, Texas. What's really funny though is this says it was recorded in Houston on April 28th. The DVD liner notes say that Houston was actually the 29th, so I would be curious to see which one is which. No matter, we get what was essentially the entire show here. Hello, hooray, Billion Dollar Babies, elected, I'm 18, raped and freezing, no more Mr. Nice Guy, my stars, unfinished suite, sick things, dead babies, and then I Love the Dead and fell out here. So that's the LP. So, to hear live versions that happened at that time is fantastic. And then comes with a 7-inch 45 single with Schools Out on one side and Under My Wheels on the other. So you get the entire show. You get the whole effect there. Um, yeah. So Alice, well, he's still going to this day. He's 73 years old. Still sounds as great as ever. My daughter and I are scheduled to go see him in concert in Chicago. Crossing fingers, not sure if it's going to happen with the way everything is going, but we're going to hope for the best because, I've seen him 4 or 5 times. I probably wouldn't have gone again, just having seen him that many. Um, and his set list, really, there are too many of the same songs, and that's a criticism I think a lot of us hardcore fans have. Alice, you'll probably never see this, but if you do, there are some albums I'm going to be bringing up later that you have neglected for decades, and you owe us, the fans. Well, I guess you don't owe us anything, you're Alice Cooper, but you owe us, the fans, some songs off them. So, anyway, thank you. Raise the mug to you. Thank you, as always, for your kind attention. Please leave your comments and list your favorite Alice album. Rank these 7. Rank your top 3 from this lineup. We'll keep it to this lineup because with the next installment, I'm going to start with his first solo album, and we'll work our way forward. It might be broken up into 2 segments. I'm not sure yet because there's such a plethora of work. But, as he used to say back then, long live the coop. So Godspeed, everybody.